Happy Pride Week. Here we go. I'm on the wrong page. Here we go. Peace and love coming at you. It's Pride Week. Let me start by saying I'm completely indifferent to the things which other living creatures choose to become intimate with, as long as it's consensual and the beings are being civil about it. I'll go into all sorts of videos about being civil because I won't talk your ear off on that. And I hope you're having a great day. I have no control over how someone else feels about me, and they have no control over how I feel about them. I'm going to say that again. I have no control over how somebody else feels about me, and they have no control over how I feel about them in the end. As much as the things we do should shape our opinions of others, they do not necessarily. Only we have the power to experience those things and to make those shifts in our mind. I do not recommend you waste your time trying to impress the Joneses, so to speak. And I understand I keep looking down, so please bear with me, and I hope you can't see this chicken scratch. I might cut the angle so you can't. No living creature sees a rainbow the same way. No living creature sees a rainbow the same way. Even the things we see on the TV screen can be interpreted somewhat differently. The experience two people have when looking at a TV screen is more similar than two people looking at a rainbow, but the difference does still exist. We must take a step back when faced with the shocking and the unexpected. What is the feeling of shock? What is the feeling of alertness based upon that in those moments? Is my life in danger? Is somebody else's life in danger? Is the thing happening uncivil? What is happening to make those feelings pop up? Because I'm sure we've all felt that before. I know you have. If two people of the same gender are sitting down by the waterside on a bench, looking out at the dock, right up next to there, and you see them kiss when you're walking by, when you're jogging by, it would make no sense for you, for whomever, to bother them. None whatsoever. There's a tsunami coming, hey, tap them on the shoulder, but otherwise, to get in their face, you've got no reason. That is uncivil. Now, if two people were torturing small animals at the beach, that would be totally different. That is fundamentally wrong. You cannot argue with that. There's just some things, like 2 + 2 is 4, that are just locked in, okay? It's one of those things, even more so than 2 + 2 is 4 if you're one of those people. If you think that seeing something which goes against the cultural norm, some people, that's just being black. Goes against the cultural norm, by the way. But if you think that seeing something which goes against the cultural norm but isn't fundamentally wrong, like torturing small animals is, if you think that gives you the right to interfere, you're wrong. If it's just against the norm, you're wrong to interfere. You are entitled to your own opinion, and some people don't even have that, so make sure you have an opinion. Think about that. That's a really good way of getting to the heart of things, having an opinion and challenging your own opinion. Not too much, but someone once said, but to harass somebody physically or verbally over that is wrong. Now, if they were torturing small animals, again, that's different. You know, a person like me would get in their face, you know, and sometimes you have to do that. It's not fun, but, you know, sometimes you have to, as they say, speak the truth even though your voice shakes a little bit. So here's my thesis, and I kind of said it in the middle, or found it in the middle. Is homosexuality fundamentally wrong? Some might say that it is, and they might stop me there and say, no, 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 no. If we see that, it's fundamentally wrong. And you might cite religious or cultural reasons. You might cite biological and the necessity of the human species or something, and yada yada. So let me ask you this. DNA. deoxyribose nucleic acid. Stuff that looks like my curly hair. I got two things for you. Two things. Number one, animals from thousands of different species are born homosexuality, or are born homosexual, excuse me, and they aren't expelled from the group or doomed to a life of loneliness because of that. If you're gonna cite the religious reasons, didn't your God make the birds at least? Or are you gonna say that only the straight edge religious birds my God made? The rest are something else. Even though they look the same, genetically speaking, they're the same. There's just something that can be proven genetically, and I'm sure that it's more than genetic. I'm not gonna try to break somebody's life down to their genetics. I think there's something kind of rude about that, but I won't get into that. But I'm just saying that in terms of reasoning, that this happens. It's not just this, like a laser beam came down and a space alien was gay and everybody's all of a sudden gay now, and it was this one alien that, like, no, let me continue. Number two, bonobos. If you don't know what a bonobo is, it's a monkey, a type of ape or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm not a really biologist either. And they are our closest relatives, genetically speaking, not in terms of, like Cro-Magnon or Neanderthal or that, but 99.8 or more than that, I think. These furry, again, I'm not a biologist, but let me continue. These furry friendly creatures cannot survive without love. And I encourage you to watch, there's a great documentary on interview on 60 Minutes about a woman who started a bonobo sanctuary. I wish I knew where it was. And before that, like these apes just kind of like, died as youngsters if they weren't in the family structure. And everybody's like, oh, don't get too attached to these, animals because they're just gonna die. And she's like, what? And so she gave them motherly love, and she started a program wherein local mothers, would treat them like their children. And I don't want to take this whole video talking about it, but I recommend watching it on 60 Minutes about bonobos. And sure enough, like, she was able to rehabilitate these monkeys and like get them back into, like a healthy life as far as it goes, considering the shock they went through, sadly. And you might be thinking, okay, where are you going with this? They're not the only animal that's like that needs love. But anytime there's the slightest conflict with the bonobos, whether it's, did you just eat my melon? Dude, that you knew that was mine. I just was swinging in the trees. I was out all day, and now they de-escalate it by having sex. And nope, does not matter the gender or any of that. They just, I'm so stressed, you know what? And there's no record of these monkeys or bonobos ever killing each other. None whatsoever. There's no recorded case like with chimpanzees or other things, or being like rough or violent or aggressive or anything like that. These are our closest relatives. So happy Pride Week. I am perhaps a bit old school personally, and I think that it's inappropriate to casually talk about one's sex life openly. People can make some perhaps more obvious inferences from the way someone's dressed or what have you, but as somebody said about wearing a tattoo, it's kind of like you're throwing yourself out there. There's no mystery to your being. We kind of see what you're about. Like, you have your favorite quote on your arm, and you got your family crest here, and like, what else is there to you? Because you're saying it all out loud, Let me get back on track here. So yeah, that's just my personal opinion. Some people don't mind one bit, as I'm sure you know, to the point where it's like, dude, like, don't be, or I use dude, and I'm talking about like a penguin, so don't trip, please. And I'm working on it, like, because I'm not trying to be an instigator and stuff, but going back to this, some people don't mind one bit, and I think that everybody is entitled to their opinion, but yeah, like nobody should be harassing or being uncivil. Those are different things, and you can kind of like, you should be able to kind of think about it, go to your drawing board, think about what it is that's bothering you, and then like really like have somebody else you can talk to first and say, hey, is this rude? This is how I'm feeling. And then if like you get good advice, or you feel confident in your heart, then maybe talk to the person like, hey, I just think that like you talking about these crazy parties you're going to, and like, I know that like I'm in the desk over, but I hear it too. Something like that, but from a really spot, and like, just letting them know how you feel will really make a big difference. And of course, like doing some qigong before, so that like if they go off on you, you can just kind of be like, look, I'm just doing my best. I'm a human being, but be civil about it. And then I've learned that like no matter how wild the situation is, you're like, people will just calm down immediately if you really are like that. Some people are snakes about that, like they try to do that, but if you really have that in your heart, you can really, I'm not going to say it always works, but anyway. So yeah, some people are like me, where they don't want to really talk about it. It's kind of like, well, what are you, Dan? And other people are like, come on, this is how I am. I'm open with my life. And like, some people, it ends up being a raunchy conversation and stuff like that happens. But I'm a guy who's been quoted saying, a gentleman doesn't kiss and tell. And and then somebody asked the lady, and she's like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. But I stick with it. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I'm not gonna, if you're friends with her too, and she obviously told you, I'm not gonna like be a liar, but you see, that's the kind of, I live by a code. It's just not my cup of tea. But let me just close things up here. So like most cases, let's just take a deep breath here. Let that go. So you got it right in here. Let it go. Let it go. Shake that out. Arms to the side. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, it's not, I don't see how anybody can go off having like discussions like the one I was talking about, like night in and night out, no matter who you are, without doing this kind of work. Like you have to also take care of your body, and you can give yourself like, even more bonuses, like when Mario ate the mushroom and got bigger, or he put on the raccoon suit, and you can like level up by getting your diet on point, and your sleep on point, and your exercise on point, and your mental work and where you're at, with what your life's work and your dreams and stuff. And then you'll start to feel pretty Larry David. That's pretty good. But I hope I'm not losing the old timers here, because I know how y'all are. And yeah, just shouts out to everybody who's watching these videos. I appreciate you, even if you are just the 3-second type. Like I hope to get you in, watch a couple of these, or at least the right moment. Yeah. So I'm gonna just judo chop this right now. Here we go. So like most cases of hate and bigotry, the root causes trace back to ignorance or lack of knowledge. The more knowledge and experience, which I've been told go hand in hand, we sincerely acquire with respect for the truth. So we're not just doing this to beat up the big bully, where how we sincerely acquire knowledge with respect for the truth, and the more experience we have in line with that, the more we see the oneness between ourselves and how our environment does shape us and shapes the land. And as some people say, as above, so below, and how we really are somewhat of a reflection of the shifting sands and of the food we eat, and how we really, are a resemblance of it all. And even the, oh my gosh. Ugh.
You fool!
Well, my laundry's done. I gotta cut that part. How we really are a reflection of so many more things, whether we want to be or not. And maybe subconsciously, when people see homosexuality, that shocks them, knowing that they're part of that. That's a part of the reality in which they live in. But guess what? It is. And guess what? There's a lot of other things. And for example, the music that a lot of people are putting out, I think, is wrong, disgusting, and I want to Robert De Niro, like he said about Trump, just punch some of these rappers and some of these things in the face, because it's disgusting. And that's why I'm, rather than just get mad about it, I thought about, why am I mad about this? oh, it's because this music leads people to do bad things and not make them feel good about it, and it's disrespectful to women, and it really doesn't, like, and you know, I listen to like hardcore rap, for example, like a guy like Jadakiss, and a lot of the stuff he says I don't agree with. You know, I don't think anybody should like every artist's work. You know, you should like dislike some of it. And I don't agree with the way he lives his life necessarily, but when it comes to business, he does have certain things where I'm like, wow, that actually did help me a lot. And you know, if I don't like a certain song, I can always skip it. It's not like I necessarily post his tracks, but so I'm not saying shun your artist because they don't, you know, completely adhere to your philosophy, because that's bologna sandwich. Okay, nobody's gonna be like that unless they're just trying to get something from you. Chances are nobody's gonna completely line up with it, and like that's because you're unique. You know, didn't you know that? Well, you know, yeah, you shouldn't shun your uniqueness. You know, some people, you know, wear like a booming Bluetooth speaker, and other people just have like a nice, you know, kind of on the like nice little button there. You know, but wear it because you are a unique individual, and make sure you're taking breaths. We're nearly done here. I'm surprised this video went this long, but I'm really glad I kind of wrote out the layout, and I think this formula is working pretty well for me. So kind of like let me know. Of course, I'm gonna get some cool like audio effects in and an intro and stuff, but it's one step at a time, really. I've been working 14 hours a day. I ran 20 miles, not including today, but in a 4-day period, and equal number downhill and uphill miles. And we're talking like, you know, not San Francisco, but Seattle hills, San Francisco hills. I'd be like this if it was a San Francisco hill. I'd be crawling around like a dog that's constipated, because those hills are no joke. And my legs, anyway, some humor in there, because I know this is a bit of a touchy subject, and I thought like all morning about how I wanted to address this in a way that was, you know, not like condemning of anybody, because you know, we are shaped by our environment. And you know, if you go your whole life and people say that you're ugly, and you know, you end up being like winning Miss America beauty pageant, and like, you know, all this stuff happens, and finally you're like, oh, I actually am beautiful. Like, some people have to really go through the ringer in order to learn that for themselves, and to really just have the like universe be like, you know, smack, like, you've done all the work to do it, you already were this, when will you see yourself as this? You know, like my DJ stream, like, you know, I've been doing that since I was 10, making CDs. Just anytime I hear a bad playlist, I'm like, let me jump on there, let me give the people what they want. Now the people are dancing, you know, no disrespect to you, but don't come back on here, you know. If you really are like, oh, it's my party, well, it's like, all right, ladies, let's just go to the karaoke club, because unless you want to, you know, and not just ladies, obviously. I'm not the type of wolf like you hear in so much music about, like, oh yeah, I'm seeing like 7 women. Like, do you really? Like, that's honestly, be careful if you have a lot of like, you know, sexual partners, because you might end up living a very shallow life, like doing a lot of drugs, and feeling like, you know, you're no longer happy with just a time at the water, you know, not saying anything, just looking out there. Like, so be careful with that kind of stuff. I'm going to make more videos on this, but with whatever you're doing. And it like Muhammad Ali, the boxer, you know who that is, talks about it. I'm not talking about, there's other people by that name, but you know who I'm talking about. Has a really good video on the subject of man being like driftwood, and on the subject of, I'm digressing here, and I'm almost done with this video, and I don't want to also like spoil my future videos, so I won't go too far down any more rabbit holes. Let me just give it a nice clean go here. And if you need to cut ahead or whatever, or put me on 1.5, it's all love, I understand. Some people really do have short attention spans, you know. Like, and I'm trying for those who are like, I know they do. Like, I know, and I have an Instagram page, and I make, you know, just really short videos that are really designed for people like that, you know, who will, go on to see, a 1-minute video and a 5-minute video. And I also want to inspire like the youth to check out some really good classic movies, some Humphrey Bogart, some Eddie G and stuff. And now I'm kind of I'm doing my thing. I'm not going to apologize for it, but it's not a complete topic of pride anymore, I would say. But it's somewhat connected, so let me kind of put the nail in the hammer here. Ding, ding. Oh yes, I like this part. Most bigots won't travel. They're scared of that part of them getting one-hit KO'd. Because as they say, travel is fatal to bigotry and prejudice. Oh, it's easy. It's easy for the sexist guy in his comfort space, wherever, run a bunch of other guys or whatever, or, in some weird spot to verbally assault a woman. Hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, catcall. He finds himself attracted to in a really sloppy way, and in a way that makes her feel uncomfortable, which he probably knows or whatever, or is just a real numbskull. But I bet that guy won't come down to the same zip code where the giant, Olympian-looking black leather bodybuilders would do that to him. Bet he wouldn't see that and, drive as fast away in his car as he could, And so many people, they get a taste of their own medicine. Funny how it makes them sick. That's fabulous there. So I got to quote him. But it's true, and this year I've really had to give some people a taste of that medicine, out of love and after a lot of meditation and in a lot of preparedness, and it just naturally comes out, and they're and the reaction to it is really revealing. I'll just say revealing. And you shouldn't always be so quick to react in a way that's I'm a doctor, Dr. Mario. But sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to do that. All right. And because you're the one person who did it. That's why you got to do it. So often because I know you're oh, my whole life, Oliver, it's been like this. I'm yeah, I know, believe me. But, it gets better. Life gets better if you let it. And that's what I tell people. That's what I've been saying for years. So breathe. Say Om at 32, 33, 32 if you have to. And this is important. Remember, knowledge is your only friend. Ignorance is your only enemy. Thank you. Please subscribe, share this with your friends, follow. Again, happy Pride Week, everybody. Much love to all beings. Peace.